South Korea's ex-President Yoon indicted on new charges. Super Typhoon Fung Wong slams into Philippines. Hello, good afternoon, and salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sahih and you're watching World Today. South Korea's special prosecutor on Monday indicted former President Yoon Suk Yeol on additional charges of abusing power and aiding an enemy state related to his short-lived imposition of martial law last year. Yoon attempted to provoke military conflict between South and North Korea in order to declare martial law, a prosecutor spokesperson told a briefing, citing evidence found on a military official's mobile phone that included some words suggesting potential provocations against North Korea, such as drones and surgical strike. According to the memo, Yoon, former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun, and former military intelligence chief Yo In-kyung planned to induce a North Korean attack against the South, according to the spokesperson. She said the trio wanted to create tensions into the country as a condition for Yoon to declare martial law. The prosecutor said Kim and Yo were also indicted on the same additional charges. The special prosecutors team has accused Yoon and his military commanders of ordering a covert drone operation into the north to inflame tensions between the neighbors and justify his martial law decree. Yoon and Kim have denied they declared martial law to harm South Korea's national interests. Super Typhoon Fung Wong made landfall in the Philippines on Sunday with at least 2 fatalities reported and 1 million people evacuated ahead of one of the nation's most powerful storms this year. The storm crossed over the north of the archipelago's most populous island, Luzon. Weather Bureau Pagasa said, with torrential rain, sustained winds of 185 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 230 kilometers per hour. It was the 21st storm this year to hit a nation only just recovering from Typhoon Kalmagi, which left 224 dead in the Philippines and 5 in Vietnam. Luzon and another island, Eastern Visayas, bore the brunt of the storm's early onslaught, with 1 person drowned and another trapped under debris. The storm was expected to weaken as it moves inland. Pagasa said Fung Wong is also expected to head north of the Philippines and reach coastal waters while remaining a typhoon before heading out to sea and weakening as it reaches West Taiwan on Thursday. The country's civil aviation regulator has closed several airports and almost 300 flights have been cancelled. 3 people have died and at least 15 were injured in separate incidents linked to rough seas battering the Spanish island of Tenerife, pulling several people into the ocean. A rescue helicopter airlifted a man who had fallen into the water at a beach at La Guanca, at a municipality in the north of the island, but he was pronounced dead on arrival at hospital. A local newspaper, El Dia, said the man was a 43-year-old Spaniard who was fishing at the site at the time of the accident and fell from a considerable height. Elsewhere, a man was found floating at El Cabizo beach in the south. Lifeguards and medical staff tried to resuscitate him, but he died at the scene. Meanwhile, a woman had a fatal heart attack when a giant wave swept 10 people into the sea in the northern city of Puerto de la Cruz. In the incident, 3 people were seriously injured and treated in hospital. At least 5 people were injured at Roque de las Bodega beach in the northeastern corner of the island when a strong wave towed them into the sea. Emergency services had previously issued a warning for sudden sea surges and strong winds. The public have also been urged to avoid exposed vantage points on piers and breakwaters where visitors often stop to take pictures and videos of crashing waves. After journeying for weeks from a glacier in the Andes to Brazil's tropical coast, a boat carrying dozens of indigenous leaders docked on Sunday in Belém to attend the COP30 climate summit. Their main goal was demanding a greater say in how their territories are managed as climate change escalates and industries including mining, oil drilling and lodging press deeper into forests.
Things happening, all the negotiations, we demand to be there because we have to, but we're pretty sure that we have to continue doing this work. We're going to continue defending the land, defending the rivers, defending the territory, and now we are together, and for us this is very important.
A report last week by Earth Insight and the Global Alliance of Territorial Communities said that in 1/3 of the Amazon rainforest occupied by indigenous or local communities, about 17% of those spaces now face encroachment by oil and gas drilling, mining and logging concessions. Participants who called the expedition Yaku Mama Flotilla, although they had swapped boats along the way, will take part in the COP30 climate summit that starts on Monday in the Amazonian city. The White House claims that nearly 15,000 trucks carrying commercial goods and humanitarian aid have entered Gaza since 10 October, but Palestinians and aid groups have sharply disputed the figures. White House spokesperson Dylan Johnson on Sunday claimed that an average of 674 trucks have entered Gaza daily since the Israel-Hamas ceasefire took effect. However, according to the World Food Programme (WFP), only half the required food aid is currently reaching Gaza, while a coalition of Palestinian relief agencies said total aid deliveries amounted to just 1/4 of what was agreed under the ceasefire deal. Despite US claims, conditions on the ground remain dire. Gaza's government media office said since the start of the ceasefire, only 28% of the agreed-upon number of aid trucks have been allowed to enter, totaling 4,453 vehicles, far below the promised 15,600, amounting to 171 trucks per day. The office said these limited quantities fall far below the minimum humanitarian threshold, while calling for the immediate entry of at least 600 trucks daily to provide essential supplies such as food, medicine, fuel and cooking gas. The media office also accused Israel of engineered starvation, saying Israeli authorities have banned more than 350 basic food items, including eggs, meat, cheese, vegetables and nutritional supplements, while permitting low-value products such as soft drinks, chocolate and crepes sold at inflated prices. Special voting was underway in Iraq on Sunday morning, 2 days before a public parliamentary election seen as a key test for Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani and for a system seen by the country's young population as merely enriching those already in power. Members of the security forces and displaced people living in camps participated in a special vote before Iraqis head to the polls on Tuesday to elect a new parliament. Many ordinary voters are disillusioned with Iraq's 20-year-old experiment with democracy. The public claim it has brought only corruption, unemployment and poor public services, while parties, politicians and armed groups divide the spoil of the country's vast oil wealth and distribute jobs to loyalists. Sudani, who took office in 2022 and is seeking a second term, leads the Reconstruction and Development Coalition, which groups several parties and is campaigning on improving services, fighting corruption and consolidating state authority. He has been a rare, strong prime minister who has pushed through reconstruction projects and fostered cordial ties with both Iran and the US, Iraq's main foreign allies. Coming up, China grants exemptions to export curbs on Nexperia chips. US President Donald Trump said on Sunday the government shutdown may be nearing a resolution, telling reporters it looks like we are getting very close. He insisted he would not approve any substantial money for what he described as prisoners or illegals, and that Democrats understood that.
Well, it looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you very much.
Trump's remarks came as the shutdown reached day 40, the longest in U.S. history, sidelining federal workers and disrupting food assistance, national parks and air travel. China's Commerce Ministry on Sunday has granted exemptions to export controls on Nexperia chips for civilian applications in a move that will help to relieve supply shortages for car makers and automotive suppliers. The announcement is the strongest signal yet from Beijing that it will ease pressure on the global auto industry caused by export curbs imposed after the Dutch government took control of Nexperia, a large manufacturer of basic chips used in automotive electrical system. China responded by banning re-exports of the firm's chips, triggering warnings from automakers of production stoppages as the components are critical to onboard electronics. Nexperia is based in the Netherlands but owned by Chinese company Wingtech. The chips are made in Europe but then sent to China for finishing before being re-exported to clients in Europe and other markets. China's Commerce Ministry did not specify what it considered to be civilian use. However, its announcement follows statements from German and Japanese companies saying that deliveries of Nexperia's Chinese-made chips had resumed. The Director General of the BBC announced his resignation Sunday following a row over the editing of a documentary about US President Donald Trump. Tim Davie and the broadcaster's head of news, Deborah Turnes, resigned after accusations that a documentary by its flagship Panorama program had edited a speech by Trump in a misleading way. The latest controversy follows a Daily Telegraph report this week that said concerns was first raised in the summer in a memo on impartiality by Michael Prescott, a former external advisor to the BBC's Editorial Standards Committee. The criticism emerged over clips spliced together from sections of a Trump speech on 6 January 2021 when he was accused of fomenting the mob attack on the US Capitol seeking to keep him in power despite losing his re-election bid. Earlier Sunday, the UK Culture, Media and Sports Minister Lisa Nandy called the allegations incredibly serious. The BBC has promised a full response to Parliament's Culture, Media and Sport Committee on Monday. The Paris Criminal Court of Appeals will hold a hearing on Monday to tackle a request by former French President Nicolas Sarkozy for an early release from jail pending his appeals trial. Sarkozy is not expected to be present Monday's hearing, where his lawyers will present their arguments to the court. Last October, Sarkozy, 70, began his 5-year sentence for conspiring to raise campaign funds from Libya. He is incarcerated at La Santé prison in Paris. If the court grants the early release request, Sarkozy could be freed and made to wear an electronic device or be submitted to a strict judiciary control or pay a fine. Sarkozy, who led France between 2007 and 2012, is the first former French leader to be jailed since Nazi collaborator Marshal Philippe Pétain after World War II. Sarkozy has always said he was innocent and has appealed his conviction. The court is to make a decision based on Article 144 of France's Criminal Code, which states that release should be the general rule pending appeal, while detention remains the exception. This is, for example, in the case of those considered dangerous or at risk of fleeing to another country, or to protect evidence or prevent pressure on witnesses. Authorities said at least 27 inmates were found dead by asphyxiation on Sunday afternoon at an Ecuadorian prison, where an armed riot left 4 others dead and dozens injured in the morning. In a statement, prison authorities said the 27 individuals found dead at the Makala prison in Al Oro province had among themselves committed asphyxiation, which caused immediate death by suspension. The morning incident broke out around 3 a.m. local time at the prison in the Makala at southwestern city. Authorities said they were still working to fully clarify the facts, and forensic medical personnel were on site to verify information. The deadly day at Makala's prison marks the latest spasm of prison unrest in a South American country. Ecuadorian prisons have become operational centers for rival drug trafficking gangs, with over 500 inmates killed in fighting between groups competing to control the lucrative but illegal trade. The violence is believed to be connected to plans to move some inmates into a new maximum security prison built by the government of President Daniel Noboa in another province that is due to be inaugurated this month. At the end of September, another armed confrontation at the prison in Makala left 13 inmates and a prison official dead. The government of Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum on Sunday unveiled plans to fight organized crime and improve security in the violence-ridden state of Michoacán after the brazen public assassination of a local mayor sent shockwaves through the country. More than 10,500 members of Mexico's Army, Air Force and National Guard are part of the operation called the Michoacán Plan for Peace and Justice to crack down on criminal groups, combat extortion and dismantle drug labs and training camps, according to officials in a press conference. The plan implies an investment of 57 billion pesos or $3.10 billion US dollars, according to Sheinbaum. Michoacán State has seen new waves of violence after Carlos Manzo, mayor of the city of Uruapan in Michoacán, was shot dead during Day of the Dead celebration on 1st November. Manzo had been an outspoken critic of the federal government for not doing more to confront organized crime.
Hemos visto dolor e indignación por el cobarde asesinato del presidente municipal de Uruapan, Carlos Manzo. Compartimos el sentimiento. Su cobarde homicidio le duele no solo a su familia y a su comunidad, sino a todo Michoacán y al país.
Officials said they will strengthen Michoacán State Police and State Attorney General's office. The plan also includes bolstering resources for welfare, agriculture, infrastructure, tourism and employment.
Peralatan elektrik 5 bintang memberikan perkhidmatan 5 bintang.
Next, Man City East to 3-0 win over Liverpool. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Sunday met with International Olympic Committee, IOC President Kirsty Coventry and IOC Honorary President for Life Thomas Bach in Guangzhou, capital of South China's Guangdong province. Coventry and Bach were in China for the opening ceremony of the country's 15 national games. Xi noted that the Olympic spirit is an important part of human civilization, carries people's aspirations for a better world, and is highly consistent with China's vision of building a community with a shared future for humanity. He added that China has always been firmly practicing, safeguarding, and promoting the Olympic spirit. In recent years, China and the IOC have supported each other in advancing sport development and got many big and great things done. The Chinese president said China stands ready to deepen high-standard cooperation with the IOC and advance the Olympic movement while developing itself into a sporting powerhouse. Xi emphasized that the national game is China's largest scale and highest level multi-sport event, and the games this time is co-hosted by Guangdong, Hong Kong and Macau. Lando Norris extended his lead in the Drivers' World Championship to 24 points ahead of McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri with a well-judged victory in Sunday's dramatic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. However, Red Bull's Max Verstappen stole the show by racing from a pit lane start to finish third. In a tense and incident-filled contest, Norris won by over 10 seconds ahead of Mercedes' teenage Italian rookie Kimi Antonelli, with the four-time champion Verstappen just 0.362 seconds behind after a charging drive, including a puncture, to a podium finish. George Russell came fourth in the second Mercedes ahead of the luckless Piastri, and three remarkable rookies in Haas, Oliver Bierman, and the Racing Bulls of Liam Lawson and Isaac Hadjar. Nico Hülkenberg was 9 for Sauber and Pierre Gasly 10 for Alpine. It was Norris' 7th win of the season and 11th of his career, moving him within sight of a first world title with 3 rounds remaining. He gained a comfortable advantage ahead of Piastri, who fought hard but collected a 10-second penalty. Norris now has 390 points in the title race ahead of Piastri on 366 and Verstappen on 341. Aprilia's Marco Bezzecchi of Italy delivered a commanding lights to flag victory at the Portuguese Grand Prix on Sunday, claiming his second win of the season and strengthening his grip on third place in the championship with just 1 round remaining. The pole sitter made amends for a lackluster Saturday sprint performance, where he could only manage third by controlling the race from start to finish ahead of Spanish Gresini Racing's Alex Marquez and KTM's Pedro Acosta. Bezzecchi's dominance was emphatic as he finished more than 2.5 seconds clear of Marquez to become the 6th different winner in the last 6 MotoGP races. While Acosta's late race pace had him close in on his compatriot but settled for third. Ducati's Francisco Bagnaia of Italy, who's battling with Bezzecchi for the third in the championship behind champion Marc Marquez and runner-up Alex, crashed out of 4th place and found himself 35 points behind before the final round in Valencia. The final round of the season is the Valencia Grand Prix next weekend. In Moto2, Diego Moreira of Brazil put himself 24 points clear in the title race with victory, while his closest rival, Manuel Gonzalez of Spain, could only finish 6th. With only 1 race to come in Valencia, Moreira only needs to finish 14th to wrap up the title before he moves to MotoGP next season. Max Quills of Spain took victory in Moto3, giving him the possibility to finish second behind already crowned champion compatriot Jose Antonio Rueda, who missed the race through injury. Manchester City crushed rivals Liverpool 3-0 in a high-stakes Premier League clash early this morning, with Erling Haaland, Nico Gonzalez and Jeremy Doku scoring to seal a win that could prove pivotal in the title race. The game was City boss Pep Guardiola's 1,000 as manager, and his team marked the milestone with the statement victory that saw them climb to second in the table on 22 points after 11 games, 4 adrift of leaders Arsenal. Holders Liverpool tumbled to 8th on 18 points. City was sharp from the outset, and Haaland rose high over Ibrahima Konate to head home Matheus Nunes' whip cross in the 29th minute for his 99th league goal for the club. The goal made amends for the Norwegian missing a penalty early in the game, and Haaland karate kicked the corner flag in celebration. Gonzalez doubled their lead seconds before halftime when his effort from distance to a deflection of Virgil van Dijk's leg to leave goalkeeper Gio Mamardashvili wrong-footed. Doku put the game out of reach with his first league goal since January when Nico O'Reilly found him on the edge of the box. He shifted the ball onto his other foot and then whipped a blistering shot from just outside the box into the far corner in the 63rd minute. Top seed Carlos Alcaraz began his bid for a first ATP Finals trophy with a 7-6, 6-2 win over Australian Alex de Minaur in their round-robin clash at the season-ending championship in Turin on Sunday. Alcaraz won his opening ATP Finals match for the first time despite the Mano's battling display, where the Australian recovered from 4-1 down to force a tie-break in the opening set before the Spaniard came out on top. The pair traded breaks of serve at the start of the second set, but Alcaraz broke twice more to again lead 4-1, and this time there was no comeback despite the Mano's valiant effort in the opening match for Jimmy Connors' group. Both players were looking to improve on last year's showing, while Alcaraz lost 2 of his 3 round-robin matches in straight sets, while De Minaur lost all 3 group matches with Alcaraz, losing the opening match at his previous 2 appearances. Alcaraz is also on course to end the year as a world number 1, and in Turin, he must reach the final with at least 1 round-robin win or sweep his round-robin matches to guarantee himself the award for the second time. Italian Yannick Sinner needs to retain his title to have any chance of finishing the year in top spot. Moving on to our last story, Yusuke Asaji sang a 2-meter birdie putt on the first play off hole to claim the Singapore Open title on Sunday, becoming the first Japanese golfer to win the tournament since 1976. Asaji edged out South Korea's Wang Jung-hoon at the Singapore Island Country Club's new course after Wang found water in his second shot during the playoff and carded a bogey 6. Both players had finished on 19 under par, with Wang forcing the playoff after sinking a dramatic, snaking 4-meter birdie putt at the 18th hole. Thailand's Ratanon, Wanasri Chan and South Korea's Lee Soo-min tied for third, just 1 shot behind the leaders. Asaji started Sunday's final round in spectacular fashion, securing 5 consecutive birdies from the second hole and grabbing an early lead that he never relinquished. Finishing with a 5 under par 67, his victory makes him the 6th Japanese player to lift the Singapore Open trophy in the event's 64-year history, following Kasahiko Uchida's win 49 years ago. The win caps off a strong run for Asaji, who finished tied for the second in the Philippines 2 weeks ago. He has now moved to second in the international series standings behind Zimbabwe's Scott Vincent. The top 2 players in the standings will earn spots in the high-stakes LIV Golf League for the 2026 season.
Daruman Contra Moped berbagai kategori terus menggegar dalam perlombaan motosikal Petronas Malaysia Cup Prix musim 2025. Dengan jiwa kelajuan, nantikan pecutan kemenangan setiap pelumba hanya di RTM.
That concludes today's edition of World Today. In our top story, South Korea's ex-president Yoon indicted on new charges. Till then, I'm Sahih Samsudin, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat Disantuni. Thank you for watching.